morning. It's sourdough bread making day. If you've been following along, we made a sourdough starter from scratch with freshly milled flour, and today we're going to bake with her. And I wanted to tell you what I did this morning. First thing when I got up, you do want to plan ahead because this is kind of an all-day thing. You want to feed your starter. Now, I can tell she's almost at her peak. She's doubled. She's very bubbly. She's got a little bit of a dome and starting to flatten out, so she's at her peak, and that's when you want to start your Autolyze. You can pronounce it Autolyze, Autolyze, I don't care, however you want to pronounce it, but let's get started. So we're going to start with our Autolyze, and Autolyze is simply mixing your flour and your water together so it can hydrate and soften and get the gluten starting to develop. And yes, you do need a scale, okay? You have to have a scale. We're going to start with 700 grams of hard white wheatberries. I've weighed them on my scale, and then we're going to use some Khorasan. I'm choosing to use some hard white and some Khorasan today. The hard white gives you that structure and the rise, and then Khorasan just gives you that delicious buttery flavor. So I feel like the two is going to give us a really nice balance. So now we need to weigh it. Let me show you how I do that. Okay, so just to show you how my scale works, you can see it's on ounces right now. I'm going to push unit to make sure it's on grams. I'm going to put my measuring cup on there. You can use a bowl, whatever you've got. Push the power button to zero it out, and that takes away the weight of the bowl or the measuring cup. And then pour in your wheatberries. We're going to measure out 300 grams of Khorasan. And there we go. That's how you do it. And then we're going to put our grains into our grain mill and mill it on a fine setting, just like that. Now we're going to weigh out our water doing the same thing before. So put your bowl, zero it out, make sure it's on grams. You want your water to be filtered always because chlorine and contaminants can slow down your sourdough starter. You don't want that. You want your water temp for freshly milled flour. It does best between 85 and 90 degrees. So I already warmed this up. Get yourself a little thermometer to check your temperature, and we will weigh this out. We want 740 grams. We need to get a little bit more. 740 grams. Let's check our temperature. 89.2, perfect. Okay guys, I'm going to be using my Bosch mixer today. You can also use your KitchenAid, but I also wanted to show you, you can do this by hand. I used to make sourdough bread by hand all the time. You're just going to put, for your Autolyze, you're going to put your flour and your water into a nice big bowl. You can use a wooden spoon, whatever you've got. If you do have a Danish dough whisk, this makes it really easy. I do have these in my Amazon storefront. So yeah, you can totally do this by hand. You can use your KitchenAid, whatever mixer you have with a dough hook. I'm going to use my Bosch today. All of your flour gets dumped into your mixer. Okay, so 700 grams of flour into the bowl and 740 grams of filtered water, 85 to 90 degrees, into your mixer, or you can do this by hand. I'm going to mix it on speed 1 for about 1 minute. Okay, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be kind of shaggy, which is what you expect, okay? We're going to cover this up. If you're using a bowl, just cover it up with some saran wrap or your shower cap, and we are going to let this rest for about an hour. And this is what she looks like after an hour. She's nice and smooth. When I pull on her, she's nice and stretchy. She doesn't break. She's not shaggy anymore. Now it's time to add our starter. And just to show you what my starter looks like, she's nice and fluffy and marshmallowy. She's definitely ready. And now we're going to add in 220 grams of our active starter, and we're going to mix it on speed 1 just for about 1 to 2 minutes to get it good and incorporated. So this was just a light mix to get it good and incorporated on about speed 1 or 2 for 1 to 2 minutes. Now we're going to rest the dough for 20 to 30 minutes before adding the salt. Okay, so basically the sourdough starter that you just used, that's your discard, but now you need to feed what's left in your jar. Just put in about 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of warm water, give it a good stir, put a lid on it just like you always do, let it rise for a couple hours. Now, if you're not gonna bake with it again soon, you're gonna wanna put it in the refrigerator. If you have one of these weck jars, it comes with this rubber ring, put that on and use your clips to seal it up tight when you're ready to put it in the fridge. But for now, we're gonna feed it. let it rise. You can either keep it on the counter and keep feeding it for future bakes, or you can refrigerate it until you're ready to use it next time. While our dough is resting for 20 to 30 minutes, we're going to go ahead and weigh out our salt. We want 18 grams. It really helps to add your sourdough starter in a salt-free environment because salt can slow down the fermentation process. So 18 grams of salt. And I also weighed out 40 grams more water just in case we need it when we're kneading our dough. Freshly milled flour is slower to absorb moisture, and so we may need to have a little bit more water on hand. Make sure that this is warm, 85 to 90 degrees, and have it ready to go. Now it's time to add in our salt, and I can already tell by feeling it just feels a little bit dry and tacky to me. I want it to be a little bit stickier, so I am going to add that 40 grams of water. Okay, so I'm going to add in the salt, I'm going to add in the water, I'm going to put her on speed 2 for about 3 to 5 minutes until she becomes smooth and elastic and starts to pull away from the bowl. You can also do stretch and folds if you're doing this by hand. You're going to do stretch and folds for about 10 minutes. So with the mixer on. Speed 2 for 3 to 5 minutes. I let her go the full 5 minutes. You can see she's completely pulled away from the sides of the bowl. She looks beautiful. Okay, from this point on, you're done with your mixer. So get yourself a greased bowl, nice big greased bowl. I like this stuff, but use whatever you've got. And if you've got a bowl scraper, these are amazing. I have these in my Amazon storefront as well. But we're gonna put this into a greased bowl, and we're gonna be doing stretch and folds every 30 minutes for 2 hours. If you weren't using a mixer, you've already been doing stretch and folds, but we're gonna show you what that is in 30 minutes. I'm using my shower cap, we're gonna cover it up. Your sourdough loves about 75 to 80 degrees, so find a nice warm spot in your house, cover her, and we will see you in 30 minutes. And here we go with our first set of stretch and folds. Now your dough is gonna be a little sticky. That's actually a good thing. We want it to be. If you need to wet your hands just a little bit, that's okay. What stretch and folds do is it helps to build strength in the dough without overworking it. And you're just gonna take your hand, reach up under, and you're gonna pull and stretch up and fold it over, quarter turn, and do the same thing here. Pull, stretch, and fold over. If you need to give your hand another little bit of water, another quarter turn, pull, fold over. And you'll notice with each one, you'll notice a little bit more resistance. That's actually a good thing. Stretch and fold. And you can get your bowl scraper, clean up your bowl a little bit, and we're gonna cover it. Set our timer for 30 minutes. And come back and do it again. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. We're gonna do 4 more sets of stretch and fold. So reach under, grab hold, fold over, quarter turn, reach under, fold over, quarter turn, reach under, stretch and fold, and 1 more quarter turn. You can see this is not hard. So if you don't have a mixer, this is exactly what you would have been doing during that kneading phase. Not hard, just takes a little bit of muscle because you're doing it for 10 minutes. Okay, you're gonna cover it back up. We're gonna set our timer and we will see you back here in 30 minutes to do the same thing again. We are starting to look for some changes. We wanna start seeing some bubbling, some jiggling. We wanna start seeing her expand and take up more room in the bowl, but it's a little bit early for that. I see some bubbles and she's taking up a little more space. Getting a little more jiggly. We're making some progress. And here we go with another set of stretch and folds. Now I know there are so many ways to make sourdough bread. This is the way that I learned. I learned from my goddaughter. This is my tried and true recipe. It's never failed me. I did some tweaks, made some changes to it because freshly milled flour is different. It's just different. So I did make some changes, but I'm using this recipe. You're welcome to use whatever recipe you find, but this one has always worked for me. So you can see she resists a little bit there. That's a good sign. Okay, 4 set of stretch and folds, and now we are going to cover her up and come back again in 30 more minutes. So we fed what was left of our sourdough starter. I let mine set at room temperature for about an hour. Once you see a bit of activity, go ahead and put a tight lid on it, either the lid to your mason jar or you can use the rubber ring and clips that came with your wet jar. Put it in the refrigerator, and this keeps it healthy and resting until you're ready to bake again. Got some more bubbles. Some more bubbles along the sides. She's looking a little more jiggly, taking up more room. She's looking good. 4 more sets of stretch and folds. 4 more stretch and folds. Oh, she's feeling good. And if yours is not looking like this, it's perfectly fine. Remember, it depends on so many things. Altitude, humidity, the heat of your home. My home's at about 74 degrees right now. We got the fireplace going, so it really just depends on so many things. Just keep doing what we're doing, and we'll see you in 30 minutes. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. I'm gonna do my last set of stretch and folds. It's been 2 hours, and depending on so many things, it could take a total of 3 hours for her to be ready. It could take 4, it could take 5. But this is gonna be our last set of stretch and folds, and then we're gonna leave her alone and let her rest for an hour and come back and take a look at her, okay? So stretch and folds every 30 minutes for 2 hours, and then cover her back up, and we will check on her again in 1 hour. We're looking for her to increase by about 50% at least, maybe 75%. And more bubbles, more action. So we'll see you soon. Okay guys, that was another hour. She has risen beautifully. Our house is very warm. She was almost touching the saran wrap. So mine is definitely ready. Yours may take another hour or 2. You just have to keep checking it every hour. And when she looks like this, she's ready to go. She's filling up most of the bowl. She's risen by about 50, maybe even 75%. She's jiggly, she's light and fluffy, and lots of bubbles. Now I'm just doing a very light dusting of flour, and I'm going to use some brown rice flour. I actually prefer brown rice flour because the dough does not soak it up as much, but I am doing a very light dusting, okay, because I don't want to dry out my dough. And we're gonna get our dough out of our bowl, let it fall out on its own if you can. You can give it a little nudge if you need to. She came right out, just a little bit left there in the bowl. And we're gonna cut this in 2. If you don't have one of these, they're great. If not, you can use a sharp knife. We're gonna just try to divide this into 2 pieces the best we can. Okay, it's gonna be sticky, don't worry about it. Okay, now we're gonna try to form this into a round ball shape as best we can. We're going to do that with the other one. Okay, just working around the edges. And we are going to let these sit and rest and relax for about 10 minutes. And while our dough is resting and relaxing, we are going to sprinkle our bannetons generously, either with your brown rice flour or your flour. And if you're interested in my bannetons or any other tools that I've used today, you can go to my link tree in my bio and my Amazon storefronts there, and I've got all my sourdough tools there. But generously flour your bannetons, and then we'll see you back. Okay, we're gonna lightly dust the top of our round. And then take your scraper blade, flip it over, okay? And now you're gonna reach up underneath your dough gently. We're not trying to pop any bubbles, but we're trying to get our dough to sort of spread out and take up as much surface area as possible. So just reach up underneath and spread it out into sort of a rectangle shape. Okay, oh, she looks beautiful, look at that. Okay. And now we're going to be folding her like a letter. From the long side, you're going to fold it in like this, and then you're going to fold it in like this. And then you're going to do your tuck and roll. So you're dragging it. It's sort of gripping. You're dragging and you're rolling. You can use a silicone mat. You can use your kitchen counter. You can use a butcher block, whatever you've got. Okay, and then we're going to do sort of a drag across your surface to form it into a ball. Just keep dragging it until she takes on the shape you want. Okay, looks good. And then you've got your floured Bannetan. Take your scraper, you scoop it up, and you're going to flip her over so that that bottom side is going to now be the top. And you're going to take your shower cap or your saran wrap and cover her up. Now, if you were thinking that you're going to be eating sourdough bread tonight, you're not. I'm sorry about this. These need to go in the refrigerator overnight, and we'll see you in the morning. Bye. I forgot, we need to dust the tops before we put that saran wrap on. I totally forgot, but if you don't do that, it's going to stick. So make sure that you dust the top of your dough and then put your plastic on. Bye, guys. Okay, it's time to bake our sourdough bread. It's the next morning. We're going to have some toast with our breakfast. So I'm using a Dutch oven. This is what mine looks like. We're going to put it into the oven. Set your oven for 500 degrees. And you're going to let your Dutch oven preheat along with your oven. And I'm going to keep that in there for about 30 minutes. I am not going to take my sourdough out of the refrigerator until the last possible minute. Now, you can do this without a Dutch oven, but I have not done that, so you're going to want to look up how to do that. But if you have a Dutch oven, this is the method. Okay, 30 minutes, and then we'll see you back here. Okay, after your Dutch oven and your oven have preheated, go out and get your dough out of your refrigerator. Is what she's looking like. And I'm going to use a silicone bread sling, but you can also just use parchment paper, whatever you've got, and we're going to flip it over. And that's what she looks like. We're going to be making a slice over the top. I'm going to use a bread lawn. You can also just use a sharp knife, but I will say this works really well. I'm just going to make one clean, confident slice across the top. And this just gives your steam a place to escape so that your bread can rise beautifully. Okay, I've got my Dutch oven out of the oven. Remember, this is really hot, okay? You're gonna transfer your sourdough into your Dutch oven. And I'm gonna give it a light mist on the top of the dough and also along the sides of the Dutch oven. That just gives your dough a better rise and a nice golden crust. Go ahead and put your lid on top. We're gonna put this back into the oven, but we're gonna reduce the temperature to 450 degrees. Set your timer for 20 minutes at 450. Okay, it's been 20 minutes. Now we're gonna take the lid off and set the timer for 15 minutes. We'll check it. It's gonna take another 15 to 18 minutes with the lid off. Okay, your house is gonna smell amazing, and I know you're gonna wanna cut into this, but the crumb is still setting. And so if you cut into it too soon, it's gonna be gummy on the inside. So we're gonna wait, but ooh, look at her. Is that a beautiful thing? I'm gonna let her cool, and then we'll be slicing her up for some toast. I'm probably gonna let it cool for at least an hour, maybe 2. And here she is. She's all cooled off. I cut into her and show you guys. Oh, she looks good. Look at that. This is what we got. I'm really happy with the final outcome. It tastes delicious. The texture's good. Made a few tweaks to my sourdough recipe with the freshly milled flour, and I am satisfied with how she turned out. It's really, really good. Reach out in the comments if you try it. Bye, guys. Love you.